things that could happen in this country to bring us to a place where conservation becomes all our business and not just the work of a few. And I do understand that there's going to be an enormous level of discussion and sometimes sharp disagreement. But what I would suggest is that the one thing that all of us have a responsibility to do is to recognize that climate change is here, it's real. That what we have to do is to quit pointing fingers as to whose fault and whose single responsibility it is to fix it, and recognize that it's all our fault and it's all our responsibility to fix it. And it starts with each one of us as individuals. I've always believed that leadership is pretty simple. You don't ask others to do what you're unwilling to do. Leaders don't get behind people, kick them in the rear and tell them what they're going to do. Leaders get in front of folks and model the behavior and say, join me. My wife and I just replaced all of the heating and air conditioning systems in our home with the highest SEER rating possible. A lot more expensive on the front end, but saves 65% of the energy that we were using before. In the long term, it'll pay off. Our vehicle is a flex fuel vehicle. Part of the problem with having a flex fuel is that even though it's a way that would help us to have greater flexibility in our fuels, we've got only 2,000 pumps in America that are equipped for E85 and other flex fuels, though there are 170,000 gas pumps across the country. So clearly we've got to put some pressure and make sure that there is going to be more availability. I personally believe that there are other ways that we need to support the fuel economy standards to an average of 35 miles per gallon by the year 2020, an effort which the Senate passed but the House didn't consider. And I hope they will. I also support cap and trade of carbon emissions, and I was disappointed that the Senate rejected a carbon counter system to measure the sources of emissions, because that would have been the first and most important step toward implementing true cap and trade. There's a little company in my state, and some love them and some hate them. They're struggling retail trying to find their foot in the economy called Walmart. I know you've heard of it. Whatever you think of them, Walmart is making some serious and concerted efforts to try to make changes in even the way that their products are packaged so that they're not using the level of energy. And they announced that they're joining with the Carbon Disclosure Project to track the energy that's used in making all the products that it sells. It will work with its suppliers in tracking the carbon footprint and reducing Walmart's indirect emissions. Now, again, I know that sometimes people love them, and sometimes people hate them. I'm from Arkansas. I love them, okay? I can't do anything but. But I've also seen that they have taken serious steps to do something that very few other retailers have done, and that is to take a serious effort to try to address this issue. And to their credit, because of their sheer size, for them to take that action means that others will be forced to. I would suggest that's leadership. Ultimately, in this, like any other issue, leadership comes down to whether you're going to be thermometers or thermostats. And that's probably a term that most of you in this room care about, thermometers and thermostats. But let's remember this. The thermometer can read the temperature and reflect what it is, just can't do anything about it. And unfortunately, a lot of political leadership in this country is much like a thermometer. Polls will be taken. Temperature will be guessed and gauged, and then the speeches will reflect. What we do not need in this country is thermometer leadership. What we need is thermostat leadership. The thermostat reads the temperature as to what it is, but the primary purpose of the thermostat is to seek to adjust it to what it ought to be. And I would suggest that, regardless of your politics, that you insist that people commit to being more than thermometers, and they commit to being thermostats, to help adjust not just the climate of the earth, but the direction of this country, not accepting what it is, but leading it to what it ought to be. Thank you.